Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2020 Justin and Tyler Movie Awards. We've now moved on to our 3 Best Actresses of 2020. I will kick this video off this time with my 3 honorable mentions. So my 3 honorable mentions for Best Actresses, and you can call this Triple A. We've got Allison Janney in Bad Education. We've got Amanda Seyfried in Mank. And we've got Anya Taylor-Joy, and Anya Taylor-Joy is more a body of work for me because it's both Emma as well as New Mutants, and not that either one of those movies was great, but it was her contribution to them. Yeah. So Allison Janney, it is tough to make a movie about public school financial embezzlement interesting. We'll put it that way. She's basically the vice principal of this school, and again, it's her performance as well as Hugh Jackman's performance that propel that movie entirely, and she's basically patient zero of the whole financial embezzlement aspect of it. Oh, you know, along with Jackman, but she seems to be the real the real worst offender in that instance, and like she just plays that role. It's not a crazy challenging role, but she plays that role very well and is fundamental to the propelling of the movie, so that's why I pop her in the honorable mentions. Amanda Seyfried, I was actually really close on this one. It could have been Amanda Seyfried or it could have been Lily Collins. But Amanda Seyfried has a bigger part in that movie, plays a bigger role in that particular film. So I have to give it to her as a young actress, a young starlet in this movie about Howard Mankiewicz. And with Anya Taylor-Joy, like I say, it's kind of an ensemble, not an ensemble, it's kind of a body of work for her. And again, it's not that it's not that New Mutants was fantastic, because it wasn't. And it's not that Emma was fantastic. Emma was good, but Emma wasn't, it wasn't tremendous, right? But her contribution to both of those films, she's the best thing in New Mutants. She's the best element of that whole movie as far as I'm concerned. And her performance in the role of Emma, who is a flawed but likable character, I think her particular performance stands out in Emma as well. So, and it's just the fact that I like her. So for body of work, I put Anya Taylor-Joy on the list as well.
I like her in that role, and with Amanda Seyfried, she was also in You Should Have Left, which isn't like a great movie,
okay.
And I wouldn't say that she was amazing in it, but she was fine. So she actually had a good year that I guess I never considered. So before I give mine, I just want to say that I actually think the women as a whole had a better body of work. It was actually harder for me to number these, and I had to cut one off that I really didn't want to cut off. And I'm not saying that their individual performances are necessarily better than the men. Like, I'm not saying that the number one woman put in a better performance than the number one man.
Right.
I'm just saying that it was tougher for me this year to number the ladies. So I have Aubrey Plaza in Black Bear and Happiest Season, so for body of work. I have Alison Brie in body of work as well in Horse Girl, The Rental, Happiest Season, and Promising Young Woman.
Wow, she did a lot of work this year.
Yeah, I'll talk about her in a sec.
Yeah.
And then my number one honorable mention is Viola Davis in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom as Ma Rainey, and Troop Zero. Okay. So I've become a fan of Aubrey Plaza over the years as well. She kind of plays like a cute but crazy, but somebody that's a little sympathetic at the same time. So that's what she did in Black Bear. And then she had like a bit part in Happiest Season, but I just liked seeing her show up.
Yeah.
As for Alison Brie, her best performance was Horse Girl, because I think it was like her most serious. It's a movie that she showed the most serious acting chops, because she played a character that was pretty complex. But I mean, she was also pretty good in The Rental, and then Happiest Season was another really bit part, but I still like seeing her. And Promising Young Woman was also a bit part, but it just adds to it.
Yeah.
Like, she really wasn't a big part in Promising Young Woman or Happiest Season, but she was there, and she had her moments, and she grinded her way into this award. And then Viola Davis, what do you say about her? Like, she could have been on this for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, because she was fantastic, which is funny because she's putting in these roles where she's in these movies based on plays, because she was in Fences opposite Denzel, and I might have given her the number 1 that year. And she wasn't quite as good in this one, but she was amazing. Like, Viola Davis, she's a treasure.
Absolutely.
Right, and then Troop Zero, she was a little underused, but that's not her fault, that's just the writing. But every time she was on, she was really good, so yeah.
My number 3 Best Actress of 2020 is Gal Gadot for Wonder Woman 1984. So obviously she plays the titular character of Wonder Woman, set now in the mid-80s, and basically the premise is that she learns anyway that she is basically sacrificing an aspect of her powers, a growing aspect of her powers, in order for Steve to be alive again. Now, she embodies everything about the Wonder Woman character that I want from the Wonder Woman character. She embodies the strength of that character, she embodies the beauty of that character, and she embodies the vulnerability of that character, because like Wonder Woman is not Superman or not Supergirl. Like, she's not a Kryptonian alien that is almost impervious to anything. Like, she's a human. Like, she's an Amazon, but ultimately she's a human. And especially the more time she spends in the human world, the more vulnerability that she shows, because the more she's adjusting to actual life among humans rather than in the Amazonian culture. And the fact that I cannot envision another actress playing that role. So clearly she's done something in the 3 or 4 times she's played Wonder Woman. She's done something with that role that clearly, like, I have this mental roadblock where I can't picture anyone else as Wonder Woman. That, to me, was deserving of recognition, even if the movie didn't do what a lot of people wanted the movie to do in terms of quality, or be what they wanted the movie to be. I still got to put Gal Gadot at number 3.
That's a good pick. As you may know, I have a bit of a thirst for her.
It's like saying the Atlantic Ocean has a couple of fish.
Yeah, that's a good pick. My number 3 is Frances McDormand in Nomadland. Fun little tidbit. Technically, she was in Isle of Dogs, but like as a voice, but I'm not going to count it because you don't see her. So the last time I would have seen her, if you don't count that, would have been in 3 Billboards, where she was this angry tornado of a mother.
Yes.
And then in this one, she's like this really sweet woman that everybody seems to love, that only cares. And even though she's struggling and trying to find herself to some degree, she's endearing.
Yeah.
Right? And if that doesn't show diversity, I don't know. I really don't know what does. We already know she's a great actress. She wears it on her face. She's understated, but she's powerful in every sense of the word. You know, she's vulnerable. She does it all. She deserves all the accolades that she's will get, whatever.
Probably more if we're being honest.
she deserves it all. So Frances McDormand in Nomadland is my number 3.
My number 2 is Frances McDormand in Nomadland, so that's very close.
I think we have something kind of interesting that I'm going to point out after you're done.
All right, perfect. Yes, Frances McDormand in Nomadland is my number 2. Yeah, I mean, look, she plays this character, Fern, recently widowed, recently unemployed, who basically decides, you know what? I'm selling everything I have, and I'm buying a van, and I'm going to live as a nomad. And the movie exposes you to a culture that you're probably not familiar with, or for the vast majority of people, probably not familiar with, and not familiar with actually how critical of a role that culture actually plays in, like, the modern economy. You know what I mean? Like, it's more it's less stated than you would think that it is. And she's, as you said, like she's deserving of, like, dear God, like this woman's a national treasure, and she's complimented in this movie really, really well. And it's all the better when you have a strong cast around you. Like, you can have a great single performance in a movie that's not great because nobody else around you is anywhere near on your level, and there are certain people in this movie that I think have good, like, have complimentary performances, certainly not as good as Frances's, but have the complimentary performances to keep that performance kind of propelled up. And I like the point that you made where, like, she wears it all on her face, and she's so tremendous in most every role that I've ever seen her in. She's so tremendous at that element of performance. It's not just what she's saying, what she's doing, it's wearing the performance on the face, and she's inarguably one of the greatest living actresses, I would say.
She's
So
a chameleon, right?
yeah, absolutely. So she's my number 2.
So this is why I said that this would be interesting if that part isn't cut out. My number 2 is Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. So we flipped.
We basically had
It was funny. So I actually could have put her number 1. I really thought about putting her number 1. I was trying to be objective a little bit. But even as I say this, I'm like, should I put her number 1? How much of that is my thirst? Like, I'm very conflicted about this. But you took everything I wanted to say, so we can pretty much just move on. She drives. She's Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. Like, she is. She's just Wonder Woman. And I've said this every time, I don't know that she's a great actress outside of Wonder Woman. Like, I've seen her in a couple things, she's fine. Mm-hmm. And maybe she'll be great outside of Wonder Woman, but she was built for this role.
I'm very interested to see her in Death of the Nile, or Death on the Nile, I think it is. It's that next Hercule Poirot movie. Yeah.
I could be saying, like, what, next year or whatever. Like, I could be saying, wow, she really impressed me outside of Wonder Woman. Right now, I haven't seen anything where I've just thought, what a great actress.
Right. My number 1 best actress of 2020, an actress he mentioned a little earlier, Viola Davis, in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And also, obviously, she plays the titular character of Ma Rainey, 1920s blues singer in Chicago. The movie is a dramatization of a recording session of her songs. And what kind of struck me a little bit more, I think, about this performance is, like, it was kind of twofold. Because she is an expression of, like, a black woman in power at a time that black people, period, in power is not, like we're 40 years behind the civil rights movement, you know what I mean? So to be even a black person and attempt to exert some power in society, and then to more so be a black woman and attempt to exert power. So you see these instances of Ma Rainey. Yeah, and you see these instances of she will exert power in these small situations because she not only does she understands that she has power, but she understands the very specific limitations of that power. Yeah. So she was saying, I'm going to, because this is all I have. Yeah. So, like, this is what I have, I'm going to use it. And it's also, there's a subtlety to beats in her performance that actually match a lot of the subtleties in actual Ma Rainey songs. And I actually took the time to listen to some of the original recordings of Ma Rainey songs, and you hear just some subtleties in the way that certain songs are performed, and the pain that's kind of, I mean, obviously it's blues music, right? So I mean the emotions that kind of underlie the songs, and you could see elements of that echoed in her performance of the Ma Rainey character. So I thought that performance was actually near flawless. So I gave Viola Davis my number 1.
It's a good pick. I liked her too.
There you go.
I didn't know if you knew that or not.
I did.
My number 1 is Naomi Watts in Penguin Bloom. There's a little bit of bias because, as I stated when I talked to a Penguin Bloom that she's one of my favorite living actresses. Well, really one of my favorite actresses of all time, I guess. And interestingly, you know who won my Best Actress last year? Naomi Watts.
Oh, was she last year too?
Yeah, she got a streak going now.
Okay.
Got 2 years.
2 years in a row. Okay.
That probably influenced it a bit, right? I'm gonna be honest, but no, it's a great performance because it's basically just hashtag Naomi Watts shit because it's just Naomi Watts doing Naomi Watts shit.
Okay.
She's just great. Like she knows she can play. She can be really bitchy, but then be really sympathetic. She knows when to take her foot off the gas and when to put it on. It may not be a performance that necessarily stands out in the sense that it's kind of like conventionally what you would expect to be a great performance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like you look at it, you're like, yeah, that's a great performance, but this could win Oscars, although I don't think it will. But I mean, it's like an Oscar type performance, but it's great. It's great for what it is. She's great. Naomi Watts is great, and again, she proves it with my number one pick, 2nd year in a row.
Wow, okay.
Let's go for 3.
So there you have it, folks. Naomi Watts and Viola Davis, our number 1 Best Actresses of 2020. And we'll kick you over to the next video where we will talk about the folks behind the camera, our Best Directors of 2020.